Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today, longtime friend, Kim Clemente, nurse practitioner, aesthetic injector, all right? And more importantly, what I wanted to bring her on today is that to me, she's a trendsetter. She's an influencer. She's an amazing inspiration for people and how they want to be seen in image and just aging gracefully. So Kim, welcome back.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me on the podcast today.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is self-respect, reinvention, communication, and alignment. You know, being a nurse practitioner injector is what you do, but the culture, and I've always said this about you, you've created a culture with it, and it just really resonates, you know, when I see you move, when I see you talk, how you talk to your clients, your friends, and whatnot. So I really think you're the brand before the skill. What would you think is the intention behind that for you, like living what you do?
Well, what part of that? You said a couple of things in there.
It's like becoming the kind of woman that people trust to come in to let them work on you. I think there's a big trust component, no different than, I guess, like high-end hairstylists and people changing their look. Like, you're creating a look on people. And what is it in your personality that you feel like draws them in?
100% being my authentic self, being transparent. Honesty is the biggest influence in this industry because, unfortunately, there's not a lot of honest people in this industry at this moment.
Understood.
So I would say those are three of the main characteristics that, for me, are important. So my authenticity, my honesty, and transparency.
Love it. So one of the things that I always say is, like, you are one of those people, like you see on TV, like you look great at every age, you know, every milestone. So reinvention obviously takes courage. You've clearly recreated yourself at different stages of your life. What do you have to release, habits, identities, relationships to step fully into who you are today?
I mean, it's a process. Life is a process. It's a journey that, you know, that saying, we make plans and God laughs, is very true. So I can't say that I've consciously said, okay, I'm going to reinvent myself. Life circumstances and situations have put me in those positions to reinvent myself. I never even woke up one day and said, okay, I'm going to stop being a cardiac nurse practitioner, a primary care nurse practitioner, and today I'm going to be an aesthetic nurse practitioner. The need arose. I was asked to fulfill the spot that was available, and here I am 9 years later, and that's my passion. I love it. It took me a while to find my passion, but I definitely have found my passion, and I'm so happy that this is my transition to one day ending my career, because I don't see myself leaving this industry. I just see myself continuing to grow and educate.
I love that. Wellness is a personal standard. Your lifestyle reflects discipline and self-respect. What does real self-care look like for you behind the scenes when no one is watching?
Well, as everybody knows, I am a mother of 6. I still have 4 children that I'm actively, solely responsible for. I have a daughter in college. I have twin girls that are seniors in high school, and I have a son that's a junior in high school. So self-care for me is absolutely 100% important. And for all you moms and dads out there, it's so important to understand how truly important self-care is. So I am, all my children have. There's no grandparents, no aunts, no uncles, no dad. Everybody either passed away or they're not in our lives for one reason or another. So I am solely responsible, like I said, for these 4 children. But most importantly, because I am all they have, and my youngest is 16, it's more important every day that I take care of myself. Being 56, I feel like I owe my kids that obligation to take care of myself and be the best, healthiest version of myself, to have the longest life I can. So I am here for them because I am all they have. So I would say that all throughout life, the past 37 years of me being a mom, my children were my biggest motivators and cheerleaders.
Love it. Wear all the hats.
Wow. Wear all the hats.
Love it. So the funny thing about it is, obviously, you know, you look spectacular. You do a great job keeping yourself there. But I think it's confidence without ego. I really think you do a great job of just being gracefully on point all the time.
Thank
you.
You
carry yourself so powerful, but I really think you're grounded. How do you build certainty without letting off a sense of like an ego or arrogance? Because in this industry, as you know, I own an HRT company, we run into a lot of these things in these aesthetic events, wellness events, whatever you want to call them, and I'm like blown away with how some of these people float around, you know?
I think that all starts within. I was never ego-driven. Some people are, and that's okay, and that's no insult or injury to them, but I was never ego-driven. I will tell you where it really manifested itself and where it began, actually. When I was 30 years old, I was diagnosed with a liver tumor. I had my gallbladder out, they found this tumor, and for 6 weeks they weren't really quite sure what they were dealing with. But for 6 weeks, I had to live in my own head about my mortality, my morbidity. What does this mean? What does this look like? I was a single mom back then too. How am I going to get through this? Am I going to live? And the one thing that experience taught me, not that I wasn't humble and without an ego before that, but one thing it absolutely taught me is every day that we get to wake up healthy is a gift. And I am very blessed and fortunate to be here because that did result in a liver resection, and I did have a third of my liver removed at 30. And it just teaches you a new sense of how important and lucky we are to have a healthy life and to wake up healthy.
So let's bring you back into the patient care experience, the energy exchange with patients. I talk about this all the time as a practice management coach, right? And this is something I think you do a great job with, as my nurse practitioner injector. When someone sits in front of you, they're trusting you with more than just your hands. They're trusting your presence, right? Your energy, what you think they should look like, right? The amount, the techniques. Again, I don't know your field, but how do you mentally prepare for that on a daily basis? Do you just go in and kind of there, or do you put because again, I'm teaching practitioners to take a look at charts before they go in. What is, if you were giving a young nurse practitioner injector some insight, what are you thinking about as you're kind of creating these looks, if you will?
So I've been a nurse practitioner for 23 years. I've been in medicine since 1987. I started as a nurse's aide at Bayshore Community Hospital when I was in high school. And my philosophy, my thought of practice has always been that each individual is an individual and they need to be treated like an individual. Most importantly, what I might deem aesthetically pleasing or proper, some patients may not, and I have to respect what they think is aesthetically pleasing because it's them who has to look in the mirror every day. So I really do try and succeed most of the time to give my patients the aesthetic outcome that they're looking for, and with different modalities, that's usually achievable.
I love it. So obviously, that's communications transformation, right? You stay within the limits. You're asking them, you're really taking input, and you're not just doing it. How many times, I guess, it's funny, as my career as a chiropractor, I chuckle. I've seen people's hair, their faces, and their feet my whole life, right? And I always chuckle because you hear people complain when you're seeing them multiple times, this and that, who got over-injected or who didn't like their hair, or who had the girl that was, Edward Scissorhands and chopped all their hair off. So I really like that you're a listener, right? So I think communication's huge. With that being said, what do you think of in your industry, people doing versus that listen communication thing? You know what I mean? Just kind of not taking that in consideration. You think it's more of a, a money grab, or you know what I'm talking about? Where people just they're not asking, and people come out and they have shows making fun of these people, right?
I think that right now this is a highly unregulated industry, and there's a lot of people that should not be doing the things that they're doing. Whether or not they're licensed or not, that's another story, but there's plenty of unlicensed professionals out there doing absolutely the wrong thing and truly seriously injuring patients, whether it's blindness, strokes, filler injected into brains. There's a lot going on in this industry, and regulations are coming down the pike. That being said, as far as what I see, I think that I've come across a lot of individuals that are definitely in it for the money grab, which is very sad for patients out there because they're trying to trust these people with whatever it is they're trying to achieve. So I also think it's about people just putting a syringe in their hand without any knowledge or education or understanding exactly what they're trying to accomplish. For example, I'm 56. It would be really hard for me to put my hands in a 25-year-old's hands because you don't understand aging the way I do, because I'm actively living it and trying to fight it every step of the way.
I like that. So with that being said, standard creates your culture, right? So you've set a standard over your 9-year illustrious career. You've really climbed. Your social media has climbed. Your effort and level of discipline in getting out content is impressive. You've set a tone every week, every year, and it's very impressive. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What standards do you refuse to compromise on when it comes to communicating the ongoing message that represents, Kim Clemente?
I'm going to circle back and say being my authentic self and showing up to be my authentic self. Honesty, discipline is definitely one of it. Self-respect. I would never do anything that I didn't feel good about or something that would make another person not feel good about themselves. So not only self-respect, but respecting other people and just what I think is appropriately, morally correct and wrong.
Love it. So obviously you teach all over the country. Leadership by embodiment, right? I mean, obviously you look fantastic, right? So I think when you show up, it's always intriguing when you run into people, right? And people are like, how old? And obviously being a fitness competitor, and I'm standing next to kids nowadays, obviously other than the facial side, they're like, how old are you? You know, and so I chuckle when people do the double take on you being out with you socially. So it is funny. How important is it for leaders to live the lifestyle they're working in, if you will, if they're asking others to buy into what they're doing?
Being a leader is of the utmost importance. And obviously people are looking at you and they're trying to understand or judge or maybe be more like you to achieve the things that you are or will be or becoming. So to be a leader, I think that you can only lead what you're trying to fulfill your purpose on. And I always used to say, I hate to admit it, but I used to be a smoker and my background was cardiology. And it was very, very hard for me to lecture my patients on smoking when I was committing that crime myself. So I don't typically lead if I'm not going to be that leader that's going to follow the things that I'm suggesting or maybe preaching and practicing.
You know, what's funny is I think as a person that's on social media, as a mom, right? As a grandma, right?
Grandmother 7.
And redefining beauty and power. I think this is a huge one. If you could redefine beauty for the next generation, not just aesthetically, but emotionally, energetically, what would that definition be?
You have to stay strong and show up every day. Even if it seems hard, you have to have the charisma to keep going at it. I think that for every patient and every human that I have the pleasure, as long as they're not murderers, I think that I find beauty in every human being because there is beauty in every single one of us. Whether it's our physical appearance, our inward attributes, the way we help other people, I think that no matter what, there is beauty in every human being, minus the ones that are really out to harm.
I love it. I'm going to give you I'm teeing you up here, kiddo. This is the knockout question of the day. As a woman with a massive social media presence, you really get engagement. You know, people respond, they talk to you through social media. It's real world impact. What would you tell your daughters, your granddaughters, young women everywhere about mastering self-image in a world that constantly tells them who they should be before they've ever decided who they are themselves?
First of all, you're talking about my family, so know your genes. If I'm doing it, you can do it, guys. I mean, my children and grandchildren. I think that we have to really dig deep and figure out who we are and who we want to be and who we want to become. And life changes. Life changes with every decade, every year, every 6 months. Stay true to yourself and know your worth, know your power. Know that no matter what's in front of you, you're going to accomplish it, and tomorrow will be a new day to start over.
I love it. I love it. So what I want to do today's podcast is kind of take that flow like that so you could utilize it. I think you did amazing. I think your energy is just excellent. So I like how you just always ground and kind of go from that. So I think you did wonderful. What's your vision for Kim Clemente, the health practitioner, in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I do have 2 children going off to college. And then the year following that, I have my last child going off to college. That changes the dynamics of life a lot. At least that's my vision, because I'm going to have a lot more free time. Again, I told you I am solely responsible for my children, so financially I have to stay within the game of what I'm doing. And I absolutely love being an aesthetic injector. I also am a national trainer, as you know, for Allergan Medical Institute, and teaching is my passion, and I do love that. So I see myself definitely injecting and transitioning more towards teaching, whatever that looks like, maybe even my own training facility. I'm not really sure of that vision yet, but I do know that educating is where I'm going to transition out of my career. Probably not for the next
foreseeable future, but
not foreseeable, but I would say within the next 7 to 9 years, I see myself as an educator and stepping away clinically.
I love that. You know, it's funny. They always say that, like, what do you do beyond the hands when the hands fade or you don't want to grind? I mean, you work a ridiculously long week, right? When you, because it's on, right? It's cyclical. When it's on, you're humming. And I like that. I like that progression. And I always tell people, I was just talking to my financial advisor, and I think it's so important for people to have that vision, because visions become reality. So I wish you all luck in that capacity.
Thank you.
Guys, Kim Clemente is she's a national treasure in my opinion. I've always said this. I've always said she's a fantastic person. She's a hard worker. As a single mom, she's always been an inspiration, how hard she works, how hard she grinds, the style she keeps. You know, so to me, this is all about Merry Christmas and having great energy and just enjoying the moment with you. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. And I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, happy, prosperous New Year, and happy holidays, whatever holiday you choose to celebrate. And thank you again, John.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you again soon. God bless and Merry Christmas.